So another UFC fighter looking to cross over into boxing is Darren Till. He's been rumoured to be potentially fighting Carl Froch, someone who obviously you shared a ring with. How do you see that going, and do you think these MMA fighters are biting off more than they can chew in the boxing ring?
Yeah, I think they are, to be fair. If they're going to end up in the boxing ring, then you're always biting off a bit more than you can chew. Carl Froch, he's probably still an animal. Do you know what I mean? He's getting on a bit, but he keeps himself in relatively good nick, and I think he's still got plenty of fight left in him. So in the boxing ring, I wouldn't suggest any YouTubers or anyone from any other discipline, any other sport, sort of getting in the ring. But he might tease Froch out of it. Who knows? I'd say let's have one v1. Have one boxing ring, maybe one in the cage. He's up for that. That's and then if it's one all after that, then they have a final. I don't know, play chess or something.
Yeah, I can see it happening. I'm not sure who my money would be on in the chess match.
Probably
Froch, to be honest, but Darren Till's a good guy. I've spoken to him, and he seems to have his head screwed on. He was trained out in Brazil. He's done a lot. Got stabbed and survived that. So yeah, he's seen all sides of life.
Well, there's a lot to it at the moment. There's this crossover appeal. There's so many platforms, isn't there, for fights to be made and sold on. Everyone's competing, from the TV side to get these events together, the promoters and the fighters. So past and present, that everyone's up for. And once is hopefully a luxury that you have at the end of your career or in the midst of the twilight of your career, that if you're like a Carl Froch and you've had your boxing days are over, but there are some exhibition type bouts out there for you, and you're up for them and they're safe, and there's money to be made and entertainment to be had, then I don't mind it. I think each sport and each discipline will always be strong enough that would be the route that legitimate athletes will go down. So. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
More the merrier.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the Kingpin productions? Have you seen that? They're getting. Seems like a massive mixture of people in. They've got like OnlyFans models fighting. I'm interviewing Elle Brooke next week, and yeah, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean that I haven't been to any of their shows yet, but it's that again, that crossover. It's bizarre how, for me, sometimes it's bizarre where I'm like. They all want to do boxing. They all want to do boxing. So have they caught the boxing bug, or is there just a bigger amount of money in boxing that is a big draw? Because you can be a YouTuber or such and have millions of followers, and you assume, well, they must be earning a really good revenue from that. But then they all want to box as well. So it's like, well, how much money are you getting from this if boxing has to take precedent? Because boxing, if these fighters wanted to, I don't know, Elle Brooke, I've seen her in the gym at Mark Tibbs's gym, he's a professional coach with professional fighters, and I think she's training there as well. Yeah. So you're not doing like one hour a week happy pads with a PT. They're in the gym training like pros or doing the best they can. Yeah. So and that's across the board in for all the different fighters that sort of being attracted to it. Sometimes you will see two raw novices baking up the tail end of the show, but that might be just the start, and obviously they will improve if they stick with it. And yeah, it's a different audience. It is a truly different audience. And sometimes when legitimate boxing people get involved in, for example, a YouTuber event, they'll justify it by saying it's new eyeballs, on the sport we love. But it's new eyeballs on what they're watching. We'll always have the same eyeballs on watching our boxing. I don't think there is a huge crossover. I don't think a YouTuber or a fan of these YouTubers will all of a sudden watch this and go, I want to watch the Canelo fight next week, because it's not why they've tuned in for it. But essentially it is boxing. It's boxing that's in the headlines. And at the moment, one doesn't get in the way of the other, so I don't really have a problem with it. There's still plenty of pay-per-view dates out there for fighters to have big fights and earn money, and for the fans to go and watch that. It's not like if you wound it back 10, 15 years and you only had Sky Box Office that only had 3, maximum 4 pay-per-views a year, and it's Ricky Hatton competing with Jake Paul, you'd be like, well, I'd rather watch fucking Ricky Hatton win a world title than Jake Paul fight a NFL player or something. But yeah, there's plenty of room for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe the crossover is working both ways. Maybe boxing fans are signing up to OnlyFans now.
Maybe
that's the motivation, I suppose, to spread the brand into.
I had Ebony Bridges, who's a world champion, legitimate professional female world champion, on my podcast, but has an OnlyFans account. And we didn't get into the nuts and bolts of it because it is too personal. But it was like, how much energy goes into one or the other, and how much money goes into one or the other. Right. And then obviously life after boxing is maybe OnlyFans, but then again, maybe it's not. Maybe life after boxing will be in boxing because it won't be OnlyFans. Yeah. At the end of the day, they're each their own, and go with the times. And boxing can be a tough sport, so if there are ways to get multiple revenue streams, then why not?
Boxing seems in a healthy place.
Yeah.
OnlyFans seems in a healthy place. Just let them both coexist.
So you'll find out more next week.
So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, one final topic I was going to ask you about, and if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. You're Chelsea.
Yeah.
Obviously playing Arsenal tonight. I'm an Arsenal supporter for my sins, so obviously we've blown the league. You haven't had the best season either, but in terms of managers, Frank Lampard's back there at the moment. Is he the kind of guy you want to see take the job long term, or do you think, obviously the owner's probably got different ideas? Who would you have?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Lampard fan through and through. When I was fortunate when I first started getting to go to the games. It was Lampard. Lampard was, I was like 15, and Lampard was the man. And he was there forever. Yeah, and obviously John Terry as well. But I don't understand that part of football. Like it doesn't happen in boxing. It's not like you can be winning, and then something goes wrong and you can't win ever again. And then they change the manager, and then you win the next 3 games. Like you haven't changed the team. So that's
a weird one, isn't it?
It's a weird one with football. And Lampard's come in, and to be fair, sadly, he hasn't just given that kickstart to get going.
I feel like the players are down tools a bit just till the end of the season. They're just kind of like, we're not getting into the Champions League now. So,
well, maybe, but I don't. I'm not a footballer. I don't know footballers well enough, honestly enough. Yeah. It must be exhausting being a footballer when the amount of games they play, the amount of time they spend away from home, the amount of time that they're just in each other's company, and how ruthless that sports world in general can be. But down in tools, like, it's not part of anyone's vocabulary in boxing. You can't do that. You have to make every second count. I think talking about Pochettino maybe coming at the end of the year. Yeah. I thought he was an exceptional manager when he was at Tottenham, and
it's normally the other way around. Ex-Chelsea managers go to
it might come the other way now.
Yeah, I think it needs someone like that, doesn't it? It feels like someone who's got the experience at the top clubs, and he's been at PSG as well, hasn't he? So, but yeah,
I think you ultimately at top end of football, I don't know how much coaching they're doing and how much time they're spending developing a strategy game on game, and they must be doing that, but they just need the ear and the respect of the players. There's got to be that element of fear and love together, and
Mourinho effect sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there might Ferguson or Mourinho might edge too far on the fear factor, and then a Klopp might be a little bit too much on the love factor. And
I looked a bit scary the other day on the touchline. You see him shouting in the face of the fourth official when he pulled his hamstring when Liverpool.
Oh, has he? Yeah. I read it, but I haven't seen it.
That's quite funny. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Maybe it's not all it's all sunshine and rainbows now. They just have to get the work. But football's brutal, absolutely brutal, and more so than anything. Loads of Chelsea people, past and present, have said that they, under the new setup, they didn't want conveyor belt of managers coming through. like it was under Roman Abramovich.
Working out like that at the moment.
Nah, yeah, I'd like to see managers given time, a season or two. But I know it's obviously a business as well, and it's brutal. So you will sort of need some success.
When they're spending the amount of money that they spent, they're going to want it relatively quickly.
Yeah.
So that seems to be what happened with Graham Potter. The results weren't there. Spent the money, so out the door.
You're out, yeah.
The next one. But I feel like the owner is to blame, though, more than the managers at the moment. Like the culture that he's created seems like a bit of a sort of revolving door in terms of the players as well, just buying as many as you can. And sort of a lot of the players that have come through the youth system at Chelsea have been shipped off, haven't they? Like Tammy Abrahams.
It's been like that at Chelsea forever. It feels like if you go through there's not many world-class players who probably weren't at Chelsea at some point. But
Salah was there, De Bruyne was there.
Yeah. And they usually just buy them back for a couple $100 million more than they sold them for. But yeah, I think it's not ideal, is it? If it must add pressure if you're spending all that money bringing players in and you expect them to perform straight away, get the wins. It might take them a little bit of time to bed in. And find some form. I don't know.
See what happens tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight. But,
they might kickstart your campaign back in action.
I'm worried about we might kickstart yours, but yeah, we'll probably end up just being a 0-0 or something. But yeah, I think that probably wraps it up quite nicely there.
Lovely.
Yeah. George Groves, thanks very much for your time, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, man.